One of the Capgemini, I think, call it client intimacy. Really horrible term. But again, BITC have done some research on this, and 84% of customers would choose a brand. So if you've got Fairy on the one hand and you've got Daz on the other, exactly the same price, and they know that Fairy Make-A-Wish campaign is going to help some child's wish come true, would rather choose the Make-A-Wish campaign. And those relationships, to me, make real sense, synergy-wise, how that works. Fairy and Make-A-Wish, perfect. Personal Non-Bio and the National Childbirth Trust, NCT, is all around babies. So again, that makes perfect sense. And Radnor Hills, which is a Welsh company that sells water, and they've got involved in the One Project. And what the One Project does is all the profits go towards making wells in countries where they don't have any clean water. But the special thing about this is they use playground roundabouts to actually pump the water up. So rather than having to stand there and pump the well, the kids play on the roundabout, and that brings the water up to the surface for people. Fantastic. And Radnor Hills have partnered that project. So for them, again, it's all about water, so it makes perfect sense for them. I mean, I gave you the three main benefits, but the other benefits are awards. If you really want to raise the profile of your organisation and you want to win some awards, look at things like 100 Best Small Companies to Work For with the Times, and CSR will be a big part of helping you to get to some of those awards. PR and marketing. My local paper is full of things that people have done for charity. But also, if you want to get something into your specific sector magazine, sometimes if you've just launched a new product, it's quite difficult to get that into the press. But if you can tie that into something that you're doing that's a little bit different with a charity, it gives you that slightly different angle of getting that into your sector press. And I know, again, Chess Telecoms have used that. They did a yo-yo challenge. They had a picture of their MD on water skiing with a yo-yo, bizarre, and but he actually managed to get himself into about 6 or 7 different magazines with that stunt, and that was all for charity. But actually on the back of it was a bit of, and our most recent product is, and so he worked it that way. Reputationally, it enhances your reputation basically, and I would say put it on your website. Make sure you have a link to the charity that you're working with. Innovation, I've got another little case study for you on innovation, but also employing the best staff. Now, I know certainly from lawyers, accountants, those sorts of people, a lot of staff, when they're coming to work for people, are looking at what are they doing in the community. And for young people leaving university now in particular, it's kind of a no-brainer. Body Shop have been doing it for, what, 30 years? It's part of their life. They expect companies to do that. And if you're not doing it, it could be just the one thing that they say, well, actually, this company is doing it, so I'm going to go with them. Innovation, RBS. Okay, so it's RBS, it's a big company. But what they did, again, that use an example from the Prince's Trust. We had this sort of staff development program called Million Makers, and we would get 6 or 7 companies involved. And what RBS did was they were all in competition with each other, trying to raise as much money as possible. They were determined to win because they'd been pipped to the post the previous year. And what they did was they decided to have a spend a day with your bank manager. So the staff went out and actually worked in individual companies. One of them worked in a wedding dress shop. Another one worked in a cake shop, and spent the day with them to see actually what the issues were for that business. And then from that, recommended any products that they felt would be better for that company to use rather than what they had already. They asked them to make a donation to the charity. And when the crash really hit, they didn't actually, that particular group that had worked with businesses didn't lose any of their businesses to other banks. And in the rest of RBS, people were going to other banks which were offering better rates. But because, again, it's all about relationships. Because they built those relationships with those companies, they stayed with them. And they've now actually rolled it out as a national initiative so that they do this going into companies and spend a day with them to actually then recommend products that may be better suited to them. So I wanted to focus on one really small company who have decided to set up their own foundation, and they won the Business in the Community Award for small companies. And they are all round sheep. They set up a small company in Grasmere, I think it is, and they design products. So there's a lot of things like mouse mats and mugs using this logo, the Hurdy logo. But also what they do is they sell rugs and blankets made from the Herdwick sheep. The Herdwick sheep, apparently, has the best fleece for making rugs and blankets, and apparently it's Herdwick wool that is in the wool sack that is in the Houses of Parliament. It's the best wool you could get. The farmers up in this area of the country weren't getting the true value for their fleeces, so a lot of farmers were diversifying and just not having the sheep anymore. And what Hurdy wanted to do was help maintain the culture of the area that they had moved to with their shop. So they started to pay the farmers the going rate, what they felt was the going rate, the value of the fleeces. So that was one thing that they did for the local community. They actually paid more. Now their rugs are very expensive if you go on their website, but they were paying the going rate. But what they also wanted to do was help the local community. So they set up their foundation where they were giving a percentage of profits into the foundation. And people could actually apply to the foundation, but it had to be sheep related. What they've actually done recently is they've paid for 2 people to train as dry stone wallers, because these sheep are always knocking down the walls. So that was a trade that was being lost in the local area. So they've paid for 2 apprentices to train for dry stone walling. They are paying the farmers the going rate. So by having this CSR strategy that meant that what they wanted to do was really affect their local community, they have made a real difference, just that one small shop to their local community. So for them, the benefits are that they actually now feel they've engaged with the local community, because I think in certain areas of the country, and I don't think it's just Cumbria, unless you've got 3 generations in the local church register, you're an outsider, aren't you? So they've really helped themselves to engage with that. But they've also given themselves something that makes them stand out from the competition as well, in that what they're doing is really working with the local community. And they've grown profits as a result of it as well. It's not a case of they're doing this and it's great and they're losing money. They've actually grown profits. So for you, with what you're doing now, or if you're thinking of going into CSR, particularly working with a not-for-profit, what are you already doing? And some of you you're probably all already doing something. Does it match your values? And often, if you look around at what the values are of some charities, look at some of the ones that are a little bit unusual. You might find some that really match you very nicely. So is there a better fit for you? Is there more you could do, which, you know, as we discussed, there probably is more you could do, whether that's you giving them training or them giving you training. And how big an impact do you want to make? Now, if you can give £5,000, say, if you give that to NSPCC, you're really not making a massive impact. You're one of many giving them that sort of money. If you give that to somebody like Cheshire Youth Federation, which is a local charity based in Cheshire, which works with young people and is doing very similar work to NSPCC, you are making a much bigger impact on that organisation, and you will have a much better relationship with them that you can develop and that will impact your company as well. NSPCC aren't going to put an account manager on somebody who sends them £5,000. Cheshire Youth Federation definitely are.